Ever notice that the people who are constantly told you're irreplaceable are often the ones who end up feeling trapped in the very role that made them indispensable? But what if this paradox is more than just coincidence? This is not a coincidence. It's an inevitable outcome of systemic mechanics. Today, we're not here to glorify being irreplaceable. We're here to dissect the ultimate hidden cost. When the system decides you are indispensable, every door it opens for you quietly welds shut the windows behind you. All right, stop. Consider this. When a core employee, through unique skill and legacy, becomes the acknowledged go-to person, what change is most likely? They receive phenomenal compensation and freedom, treated as a protected asset. B, they gain more authority, neatly balanced by heavier responsibility. C, they appear secure, but their personal agency to transfer, to pause, to leave gets quietly, implicitly compressed. Type your answer in the comments. By the end, we'll pull back the curtain on how the system turns indispensability into a precise, personalized binding mechanism. Let's take a closer look at how the system quietly builds your cage around you. The more valuable you become, the more invisible the chains become. But here's the twist. The system doesn't lock you in with chains, it locks you in with choices. First, the double-edged sword. From valued asset to systemic risk. Meet Marcus, the chief fuel cell expert at a premium automotive manufacturer in Munich. For years, his expertise has been the company's secret weapon. But as his influence grows, so does his risk. And he's about to find out that being irreplaceable may not be a blessing after all. But what happens next? Keep watching. Everyone knows it. Without Marcus, there is no future for our fuel cell division. But within the company's internal risk model, Marcus carries a tag, single point critical knowledge node, risk level extreme. His indispensability is a commercial asset, but for systemic stability, it's the organization's greatest vulnerability. So the system initiates risk mitigation around him. This means stringent non-compete clauses, excluding him from certain strategic discussions to prevent over-concentration of information, denying his participation in side projects that might distract his focus. His supreme importance doesn't grant universal access. It builds a fortified perimeter around him. If you've ever felt that being too important has invisibly narrowed what you're allowed to touch, type node below. Second, adaptive specialization. How your skills become the system's proprietary mold. Systems possess a potent assimilative force. They reshape workflows, tool chains, and problem-solving pathways to conform to the shape of their most critical component. Marcus's expertise is so unique that the entire team's collaboration model, their R&D pipeline, even their diagnostic logic, has become deeply customized to his thinking, his habits. The consequence? Marcus's world-class skills are now highly coupled to this specific system. His cutting-edge knowledge might be nearly impossible to transplant to a competitor with a different technological roadmap or philosophy. He has become like a precision key, crafted for one specific lock core, potentially useless in any other lock. You see this with the lead architects in Silicon Valley. The monumental systems they build make them deities within their company and drastically reduce their adaptability in the external job market. Third, the invisible inflation of exit cost. Why you can't afford to leave. When dependency reaches a critical threshold, the system, through a series of non-confrontational, even reasonable-seeming measures, inflates your cost of exit to an unbearable level. It's rarely a direct prohibition. It's achieved through responsibility. Binding. The success of mission-critical projects is tied to you so personally that disengaging feels like abandonment. Knowledge isolation. Allowing the core knowledge you possess to remain undocumented tribal, creating an artificial knowledge gap if you leave. Opportunity cost. The implied, or stated, understanding that departing means forfeiting soon-to-vest stock options, unique research resources, or an industry-leading platform. Social capital lock-in. Your entire professional reputation and network are deeply embedded here. Leaving means starting your social equity from zero. You are not commanded to stay. You are retained by meticulously designed structural debt. The price of leaving has been made quietly irrational. This ancient insight holds a shocking truth for modern professionals. Han Feizi, one of the greatest strategists, said, "The ruler's calamity lies in trusting others, for to trust others is to be controlled by them." But how does this play out in the modern corporate world? Wait until you see how this exact philosophy traps your career. A modern, inverted reading. Once a system develops a structural dependency on you, its primary goal shifts from leveraging your value to managing the risk you represent. The most efficient way to manage that risk, not to grant you more freedom, but to softly, firmly anchor you in place. Through institutions, contracts, processes, and unspoken expectations. Therefore, being indispensable is not the coronation of power. It is the beginning of the erosion of your bargaining freedom. The system has a vested interest in making you worthless outside, so you remain irreplaceable inside. Consider a classic Wall Street case. Samantha, she built the complex derivatives trading model for a top-tier investment bank. She is its sole true architect. It governs billions in positions. The bank gave her a phenomenal package, a 7-figure salary, a lavish office, a dedicated support team, and concurrently, her model code resided in a black box system she could not copy or extract. Her employment contract featured a 5-year non-compete clause and a mandatory 1-year post-departure knowledge transfer supervision period. They consistently vetoed her requests to train a true backup. Too risky, a distraction from your primary function. When years of high-pressure burnout led Samantha to tentatively explore external opportunities, the reality shocked her. Her expertise was so uniquely bundled to the bank's proprietary systems, data environment, and regulatory framework, and the non-compete so severe that she had almost no viable next step. She could move to a tiny, non-competitive firm for a drastically reduced salary, or leave the finance industry entirely. Her indispensability had forged an incredibly ornate gilded cage with no internal handle on the door. So, back to that initial question. If you selected C, you now perceive the mechanism. The surface level security of being indispensable masks the systemic erosion of your personal agency. By increasing your specificity, your dependency, and your exit barriers, the system transmutes you into human capital that is high value, high stickiness, low mobility. This is the ultimate portrait of dependency within Module D, long-term structural consequences. We have navigated the constraints of early success and the resistance triggered by excessive speed. Indispensability represents the peak of that trajectory and the precise inflection point where your professional freedom begins to decline. This logic prompts a final defensive thought. What if you avoid this entire game from the outset? Choose the safest, most prudent, most conventional path. Is that the master key to bypassing all traps? Unfortunately, the system's long-term valuation of safe choices is equally merciless. Our next lecture is the finale of Module D and the convergence point of all core logic in Level 2. It is titled Safe Choices Age Poorly. We'll reveal why the career choices that seem the safest today, like sticking with the corporate giant, embracing the tried and true path, and climbing the promotion ladder, might actually be the slowest road to ruin. If you're playing it safe, you might just be setting yourself up for disaster. But why is that? We'll explain in the next session. We will examine why safety and growth are often mortal enemies, not allies, across the dimension of time. If you have ever felt reassured by your cautious choices while nurturing a subtle, persistent anxiety about the future, this final lesson will provide the clarifying perspective. Subscribe, enable notifications. We are now placing the final piece of the puzzle regarding the logic of the long-term game with the system.